here's Dave Ramsey, our favorite, with Jordan Peterson, who is currently fighting to keep his PhD and his medical licenses for all the horrible things he said against trans people and women over the last few years. And they're going to talk about just how stupid people are. People are so stupid.
Oh my.
Yep. They should be rich, but they're stupid. Yep. And Jordan Peterson's going to make the exact mistake you pointed out.
One of the things we say around Ramsey all the time is personal finance is 80% behavior. It's only 20% head knowledge, and getting the guy in the mirror to behave is the battle. And you've got a lot to say on that subject. So talk about what you've discovered around the correlation between just a mental stability, a mental maturity, mental health maturity, and that how that correlates to wealth.
Well, it's easy to presume that the reason people are poor is because they don't have enough money. But that's an oversimplification. Very few complex things are attributable to a single cause. I had lots of clients who were much better off when they had no money at all. Those were often people who had addiction problems, because as soon as they had any money at all, they're just in the bar and into the cocaine until...
So there you go. Jesus.
Oh my God. So people are poor because they do too much cocaine? It's like, seriously? They drink too much and do too much cocaine. Did you know that that's why people are poor?
I'm sure some people.
Okay,
but
let's pause here.
All right.
I'm going to start this by saying I have never purchased cocaine before, nor have I even tried. But rumor has it, it's a pretty freaking expensive habit. So I guess, yes, if you're doing it, you might not have a bunch of money, but you got to have some money in the first place to be doing that. So to say poor people are all doing cocaine doesn't even make any sense.
Well,
not even on that level.
Well, furthermore, here's the question. So he's talking about mentality, maturity, that kind of stuff. And what does Peterson say? Well, you can't say that it's because poor people don't have money. That's an oversimplification. Well, statistically, it's not. Statistically speaking, if they had more resources, they wouldn't have as many problems. Now, is that true of everybody? No. If you have a serious alcoholic or a serious drug addict, well, we've got different problems. The problem isn't they're irresponsible. The problem is they have an addiction. They're suffering from a disease. They need help. Right? The issue is not that they're irresponsible. Right?
And that's taking one very specific problem and making a really broad statement.
Right.
Like, he's making it sound like you could find some data, which I have not looked for, find some data that suggests that most people are poor because they're addicts of some sort. Like, I've never seen anything that says that people are poor because most of them are addicts.
No. And that's not true.
That just sounds crazy. That doesn't even make any sense.
That's not true, because you can be wealthy and an addict. You know, it's the old Chris Rock joke where he did the what was it, like Kobe Bryant, right? The basketball player. He's like, Kobe Bryant's rich, right? That can be destroyed by a bad marriage or a drug addiction or him doing something really stupid. But the guy that writes Kobe Bryant's paycheck, that guy's wealthy. Doesn't matter what that guy does, he's always going to be wealthy. He could be snorting cocaine all day, every day, while shooting heroin, while murdering hookers on his yacht, and he'll be fucking wealthy no matter what. Even if he's in prison, he'll be wealthy. That's what they're missing here. So to sit there and go, not having money is what makes people poor is an oversimplification. Well, having money is what makes people wealthy. And there are a lot of people who are wealthy that are doing all kinds of stupid shit all the time, who've never worked a day in their life. So your reverse is even wrong, right? On top of the fact, you're ignoring this, some of it is circumstance. Yeah, I mean, if I have an addiction problem and I can't get help, then that's going to be an issue. They're going to get in the way with everything. Period. That's just how it goes. So you got to deal with that issue, right? You got to deal with the circumstance first. So that's the problem. He's ignoring the circumstance and going right to it's all on you to get past your circumstance. But watch, he'll walk it back when he thinks about it later on. Because you can't get around that you have to factor in your circumstance. You can't make a plan unless you factor in your circumstance. You know, it's just, I mean, this is how muddled this guy's thinking is. He just has no.
So they were face down in a ditch, and so there's all sorts of causes of poverty, and certainly one form of poverty and one cause of poverty is absence of a plan. I mean, you need to develop a vision for your life, and that makes delaying gratification, for example, and not engaging in impulsive momentary pleasure worthwhile, because you're building towards something that you actually want to attain.
Okay. So that's their whole solution. You just have to deny yourself any sort of pleasure or gratification until your plan comes to fruition, whatever that plan is. We're not going to talk to you about how to develop a plan. We're not going to get into that. That's too complicated. But we're going to skip forward a little bit because he goes into this whole thing. So he does this spiel where he's talking about he had a bunch of young guys in college, and he did a study. This is, according to him, his study. I wanted to put a flag in this. So flag and circumstances don't really matter. Flag in this. Dr. Jordan Peterson, this is his study where he had a bunch of college kids, and what they did was they wrote down what their goals were. And those kids were 97% more effective or something ridiculous. He's going to talk about this study he did.
Vision. And one of the things we ask people to do is just to sit for 15 minutes, write for 15 minutes. Badly, here's the game. Imagine you were taking care of yourself like someone you cared for. So imagine someone you care for and pretend that's you. Maybe it's a son or a daughter or a friend. Now imagine 5 years down the road. You can have what you want and need. You can be who you are, but you have to figure out what it is. What is it? What do you want? What do you need? And don't worry about getting it right. Just get it down for 15 minutes. That's a good start. The whole exercise you can do in about 90 minutes, but we had students do that, say, before they went to university. And just doing it for 90 minutes, developing that vision, dropped their dropout rate 90 or 50%, 50%, and increased their grade point average 35%. And that just shows you how badly it had been done before, because students went to university with no vision. They have no idea what they were doing there. And so, of course...
So that was his point. Is so if... And look, I'm all for teaching more life skills in high school. Don't get me wrong. But they're not proposing that, because that would cost a shit ton of money. I'd pay more taxes for it. I really would. So these kids had more life skills. But that's not what he's proposing. He's proposing just have them get a plan and a goal, right? And we'll do that before they start school. And then those kids are just way more successful. Their grade points go up. They're more likely to graduate. Well, that's all well and good. Except for... Give me 1 second.
I mean, is anybody really saying that a plan and a goal is not good?
No.
I mean, I think they're being short-sighted in that they're failing to address and look at other things. But
No, having a plan is good.
It's like saying having a plan and a goal is good, and
But
is anyone on the planet being like, no, it's terrible to have a plan and a goal?
No, but you're
not making an argument for anything really here.
No, but you're a financial coach, right? I'm a financial advisor. Yeah, you can have a plan, but you know what you have to do? You have to go back and review the plan over and over and over. You can't ever stop.
And you have to keep refining it as your circumstances keep changing.
Exactly, right?
You have to keep adapting,
Mm-hmm.
maybe sometimes you around it, depending on, right?
Right. So here's an article from Cell Skills. And what are they talking about? Writing versus thinking about your goals, which makes you more successful. Making goals and putting them to writing. Yes, the old-fashioned way. Get out a pen and a piece of paper and have your students get all their dreams out. They can be short-term or long-term. They can be small, outrageous. Either way, it will make a world of difference for your students as a teacher, right? Doing it regularly. You may have heard of a famous study on goal setting done on Harvard MBA students. The study claimed that 3% of students with written down goals had been 10 times more successful, measured by income, than 90% of their peers who had not written them down. This claim is a bit outrageous and obviously an urban myth. This study never happened. So he just lied to you. He didn't invent the study, and the study isn't real. He read an urban myth somewhere, and he's passing it off as his own. No wonder his PhD is in jeopardy. I mean, could you? We have graduate degrees. Can you imagine saying something like that?
Right? I would never in a million years dream of pretending something was a study that I did. You know, I offer anecdotes based on my observations, but I don't try to pretend that they've got any sort of, you know, quantifiable data behind them when they don't.
Right. No, when we present data, we present data. We present other sources. He's just making shit up and saying, well, if you just do this. Why? Because it backs, once again, it's a solution looking for a problem. The problem is you're just not focused on your goals. So if you just wrote them down when you were a senior in high school, you'd be more successful. See? Easy, done. That way we don't need to acknowledge circumstance. We don't need to acknowledge problems with the economy. We don't need to acknowledge problems with the system. That's the whole beauty of this. There's nothing we can do other than yell at these kids and tell them that they're lazy. That's all we can do. Which is his whole point. Which is Dave's whole point. Which is why they're doing this whole thing. But watch, he'll fuck it up here in a second. We'll watch it till he does.
First, half of them didn't succeed because they had no idea why they were doing anything. Well, that's not helpful or wise. And the reason that's the case, by the way, is because our school system was set up to produce mindless, obedient workers essentially by fascists at the end of the 1800s. And that's well documented historically. It was based on the Prussian military model, and they wanted to produce obedient soldiers. And we haven't updated our notion of what schools are for.
Okay, and that's partly true and partly a lie. Yes, it was set up. I forget what the Prussian's name was. Yeah, but he set up the Frederick, of course, who was a big despot at the time. Anyway, he set up the first sort of universal public school system. So it was government funded. It was mandatory, right? But he really focused on, the basic sciences and technologies at the time, which were really basic: English, mathematics. And yeah, it was kind of designed to make them more obedient to a degree. It's the same reason we do the Pledge of Allegiance now. Same kind of thing. They used to have to do that to Frederick all the time. But that was the model that most people took and used. But it's changed dramatically over the years, where now we have social studies, and especially in a lot of the more democratic countries, we have things like universities that teach you things like how to think about things, how to question the government, how to question bills, how to think. There's been a lot of philosophy writers since then who've questioned a lot of this. So this idea that, no, it hasn't changed, yeah, it has quite a bit. Just because the original model was built by a despot doesn't mean it's all bad now. We've added some stuff and taken some shit out. Nobody has to salute Frederick anymore. I don't think any kid in high school knows what Frederick is. They'd be like,
think so.
Is that the kid with the locker 2 down from mine who smells like cheese? That Frederick?
For 140 years.
Yeah. Ken Coleman says we've not made pathfinders, we've made test takers.
If that, we're not even very good at that.
Well, Dr. Peterson, I'm
We're gonna have
curious.
to be pathfinders.
We have so many similar principles. We want to help people avoid the pitfalls of education and debt. And we're both kind of truth tellers in a world gone mad. And that can be countercultural, controversial, offensive at times. What is the secret sauce to really connecting with those people and getting them to change a paradigm and actually getting out of debt or doing that?
Oh, see, I fucking love it. We're the truth tellers. We're the geniuses. What's the secret sauce? What's the one thing that'll fix your whole life? Because it's just one thing, Lacey.
Well, I don't know. I bet dollars to donuts is personal responsibility.
Yep, you gotta be personally responsible.
That hard thing.
Well, I think a huge part of that is to get them to start conceptualizing themselves as people who could be pursuing a goal that they found compelling rather than people who are driven by circumstances. I think it's 35-40% of young Americans now feel they have no agency in their life. And you say, well, how do you have to entice people into, I suppose, the hypothesis of a vision. And you do that with, well, this meditative exercise, for example, that I described. Just imagine for a moment that you could have what you needed and wanted. And I mean, literally imagine that. Daydream, like you did when you were a kid. Now, you want to bind that with a little bit of intelligent rationality. You don't want to be, if you're starting it from scratch, maybe you don't want to be thinking that in 5 years you're going to inhabit a 350-room mansion.
Oh, what, Dr. Peterson? What? Imagine, but be realistic? What? Come on. Spit it out. Spit it out.
Stranger things have happened to people. You want to develop your vision within the realm of possibility.
Within the realm of possibility. Within the realm.
Wait, are there things out there making it less possible, Duncan?
Could it be that? Well, I mean, I imagine myself in a mansion, in a $350 million mansion. I imagine it. It should be possible. I should be able to do it in 4 or 5 years, right? That's what he was saying. My circumstances shouldn't prevent that at all.
As long as you take personal responsibility, there's nothing in the outside world that could be an obstacle.
Yeah. I mean, why is it that I don't have the all-time home run record? I can imagine it.
Listen, I don't want to say there's anything that a person can't achieve. Like, I don't want to stunt any of that.
Yeah,
but yeah, he really did kind of roll back. I keep saying the word systematic. We can even say systemic is. We can even just like put that to the side for a second. Let's just use a simple word like obstacles.
Right. Normal human obstacles.
Normal human obstacles. Let's not even think about big, huge systems or whatnot. But let's just think normal human obstacles in the course of normal human lives. These obstacles are frequently still not people's faults, and not because they failed to take responsibility. Maybe some of them are, but lots of them, not at all,
Oh, I mean, you didn't choose who your parents were, what your genetics were.
You didn't choose some sort of, major medical situation that popped up with you or a family member or whatever. You didn't choose that.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was, like I said, I'd be, why am I not the home run record holder in the world? Well, I'm not 6'4", 220 all muscle. Not to say that when I was a kid and I was playing baseball, I didn't work out all the time, and I didn't want to be 6'4", 220 all muscle and be able to hit a fucking 600-foot home run, but just physically was never going to be able to do that. I didn't get down on myself. What I did was I changed my style of hitting, and it's like, I'll just hit a lot of fucking singles and doubles, and I'll just hit for percentage. I changed the goal. Why? Because I had to dial it back to reality, right? And sometimes you just have to change your expectations and dial it back to reality. Those are like we talked about, the 4 things. You can either when you talk about financial goals, you can make more money. Your money you can invest it more risky and have it try and earn more for you, which is really risky. You can either live on less or you can just alter your goals. And a lot of times you got to do some combination of all those.
Right. I was going to say, a lot of times attacking just one of those isn't the strongest route, you know?
No, it's usually the laziest route. But they're going to do the whole, well, you just have to live on less and strive harder. And it's like, you know, but if I have scoliosis, I'm not going to be the greatest track runner ever. So you're being ridiculous. Just to use a comparison, because he used addicts as an example, I think I can use somebody with another disease to sit there and go, it totally disproves his point. And like I said, you notice how he backtracked circumstance right away? Because his thinking is so fucking backwards that as soon as he runs up against it, he's got to go, oh, wait, no, circumstance does factor in shit. But now I sound stupid because I just said it didn't. So we'll listen to him for another minute, but and you see they're just kissing his ass, but it's like, this is the secret sauce. This was it. This was the secret, the one thing. And
I would like to point out a win for me, because he didn't use the P word, but if you listen, that was personal responsibility, folks. That was his answer.
That was always his answer. And then he backtracked it. As soon as, what's the secret sauce? He had to backtrack everything he just fucking said. It's so weak.
But that doesn't. But and you should be honest enough with yourself so it's actually something compelling to you. You know, the other thing we ask people to do, and I'm talking about this because it's very practical, is you might say, well, I don't know what I want. It's like, okay, well, what other people have that seems to work for them? You probably want a relationship. What's your vision for that? You probably want to have something approximating a family of some sort. What's your vision for that? Even if it's your parents, not children necessarily, not even a wife necessarily. Some family connections, some friendships, some job or career, some educational goals.
Yeah, see, now
some
he's
strategy
just,
for dealing with
temptations. Yeah, now he's just,
that's fun.
He's just running off on a tangent because he realized he just fucked up and tripped over his own dick. He just had to walk back but think about family or think about friends. Yeah, there's other things too you can have in life. Other things, yeah. Relationships and stuff, that kind of thing. There he is, king of the incels, Jordan Peterson, laying some wisdom on us. So that was your first introduction to him, wasn't it? Well,
yep,
well, he's
can't say that I knew him, but I don't feel like I've gotten any smarter.
No, all of his conversations are like that. He'll go in one direction and then he'll trip over his own thought because he hasn't thought about this. And then somebody asks him a simple question, and even like that was a freaking softball. That was a toss me hand up. What's the secret sauce, Dr. Peterson? You're so amazing. Well, the secret sauce is, oh shit, everything I said was wrong.
Personal responsibility with a side of.
Well, I'm not gonna.
Matters.
Well, I'm not gonna take personal responsibility for the fact that everything I just said was bullshit. But I am going to try and tap dance my way out of this interview at this point.
By just saying all the different random things I can at the end.
Relationships, people, camera, sky,
gold,
birds.
But they might be different, and have people, but they might be different. And it's okay if they're
different. Yeah. Anyway. Now I'm squeaking because I was doing his voice. Anyway.
If you sound like him for the rest of the day, I'm going to laugh at you a lot.
Oh, it's just me, Dr. Peterson. Soon to not be Dr. Peterson, hopefully.
Wow, I cannot believe that he's being shaken down for all of that so much. Wow.
Yeah, well, he's said worse shit than this. This is just the tip of the iceberg. He talks about how women shouldn't be in the workforce, and you guys only wear lipstick to make us sexually aroused. Yep, he did a whole spiel on that for years. Yep. Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Oh, he's a champion. We haven't been around long enough to cover all of his crap, so.
Oh my.
And we probably won't, because a lot of it doesn't really apply to us. Anyway, well.
Sorry to disappoint, but when I put lipstick on, I'm not thinking about anybody but me.
I have the same feeling when I put.
Whether I think the color is nice.
It's the same feeling I have when I put lipstick on, Lacey. I'm not thinking about anybody but me.
I mean, you shouldn't be. You should just be thinking if you like the color.
Yeah, absolutely. No. So anyway, that was our show for today. Where can everybody catch you, Lace?
All right. As always, you can catch me at mysensewithsense.com. You can find articles by myself. You can find information about workshops and course offerings if you have